slides. Welcome to our second session now, which is on advertising media and techniques. And in the previous session, we explained the basics of advertising, which comprised of what advertising is and what are its objectives and how does advertising play a role in general in society. Now we are talking in this session about advertising media and techniques. So far you've understood that it is a non-personal form of communication, it is a professional kind of communication, and it is targeted at certain segment of the audiences, and it is aimed at creating a certain positive impression or image for a brand. Now let us see, in order to achieve all these things and keeping in mind the larger scenario, how does it make use of different media and what are the various techniques that it makes use of. So in this session, we will be covering the media for advertising, which will include the print advertising, television advertising, radio advertising, online advertising, outdoor advertising and the other media. And the second part, that will be advertising techniques, which will talk about ATL, above the line advertising, below the line advertising and through the line advertising. So to begin with, let us discuss the media for advertising. When we discuss the various media for advertising, by media we mean the vehicles which will be able to carry this professional communication called advertising forward so as to reach the various target audiences that we have in mind, and also to create, should be able to fulfill certain objectives for which this advertising has been created. To begin with the print advertising, the print includes the newspapers, it includes the magazines and the yellow pages. Print largely is meant for the literate audience, people who can read. Now, there is an advantage of dealing with literate audiences, there is also a disadvantage. The advantage is larger, which is that when you are dealing with educated audiences, they are able to understand the value that your product or service is trying to confer in a much better manner as compared to someone who is not knowledgeable about it or who is illiterate. So ideally, the newspaper ads are the oldest and most popular kinds of ads, because newspaper is also the oldest medium. The paper quality suffers, it has a low paper quality, and due to which the color reproduction of an ad suffers a lot. Also, there is no choice of niche audiences. When I say no choice of niche audiences, what I mean is you cannot target your audiences to a certain segment. You can always only publish an ad in a newspaper and wait for whoever wants to look at it, whoever wants to see it. So there is no choice of niche segments of audiences. Then it is also a costly proposition, because an advertisement in a mass medium like a newspaper is a costly affair, and it has a very limited shelf life, probably only 24 hours, because everybody likes to keep a newspaper for a day and the next day you have a new newspaper with you. So the shelf life is quite limited. If the shelf life of the medium is limited, obviously the shelf life of the communication, the medium is a carrier for this communication, will also be limited. Talking about magazine ads, I have put it separately because magazine ads are slightly different and better than the newspaper ads. How? Let us see. One, they target select consumers. Say for example, you will have a magazine which is largely based at readers who want to know more about political affairs. Say for example, India Today. Then you can have interiors, a magazine that is totally dedicated to interior designing. Then you have a women's era, which is a women's magazine. So you have already selected the audiences, which are the audiences of the magazine. So when you are propelling, say for example, a cosmetic brand, obviously a women's era could be a better medium than interiors. So advertisers can target strategically their target audiences and accordingly push the communication. Then they have a longer shelf life, because most magazines are either fortnightly or monthly, sometimes even weekly. So they definitely have a much longer lifespan as compared to a newspaper. And of course, the paper quality is high. We will usually find glossy papers in it. And in fact, in order to advertise, a lot of brands also, produce calendars and things that people can make use of for a longer time. They get attached in the magazines and they reach the consumer. So if I get a calendar, I pull it out and then I use it on my table. So there, the shelf life of the communication for the brand increases. And then of course it is much costly because of the kind of quality of paper that is involved in it, the color reproduction is good. So all this makes it a little costly affair. Then we turn on to the TV advertising. Now TV, we all know, is a dominant media which is used by the masses. You don't require to be literate or educated, and you don't have to think much when you're looking at TV programs. It gives maximum exposure, it gives a huge reach in a short span of time. Maximum exposure because it is an audio-visual medium. So when you are able to locate the background, you're able to locate the exact context in which two people are talking in order to push a brand forward. So they give you the maximum exposure of the scenario. Then they are also able to, television channels are able to reach a lot of people, and that too in a very short span of time. It is an audio-visual medium, so this message gets absorbed very quickly, and it gets absorbed elaborately, since you're able to make meaning of whatever is positioned in front of you. And it also helps you in engaging better. How does it engage? Because both your audio as well as your visual senses are involved. So unlike radio, where you could be doing your home tasks and side by side listening to radio, TV is something which will make use of audio and visual medium both, and hence it will, audio and visual senses both, and hence it will engage you more than radio or more than any other medium. Then it is a very expensive medium because big businesses are able to monopolize on it. Since it is an expensive medium, only the moneyed people, only the moneyed organizations will be able to send forth their communication to the target audience by use of television. So there is definitely a greater chance of monopolizing. And there is no choice of literate target audiences. If you think that educated people are the only ones who you're wanting to target through your communication, that will not be possible. There will not be a choice of literate target audiences. Radio advertising, radio is a special medium. It is an audio medium. So the messages accordingly have to be designed for the ear. So like when we talk about how do we script for a radio, we take into consideration that the words should be clear and they should be well pronounced and they should be short, they should not be difficult, things like that. Also the same principles are taken care of when you're writing a radio ad. So radio advertising being an audio medium, it is also less expensive than television. And the ad durations are shorter. You would usually hear jingles or for a few seconds, 10 seconds or maybe. So ad durations are shorter on radio as compared to television. And of course, audiences are not segmented properly. Now this is a kind of thing which you would find common amongst all mass media. So you cannot really pinpoint that this is the exact niche audiences you're aiming to talk to through your communication. So audiences cannot be segmented properly. At one point of time, anybody could be listening to a show on radio. The possibility of switching channels is less. Now this is the speciality of the radio medium. Once you put your radio on and you start working, whatever work you're doing, so radio is there in the background and you are listening to it. But like a television, you're not zapping channels. So you don't have a remote in hand to keep zapping channels as often as you do on television. So it is a secondary activity. So the possibility of switching channels is less, which is a benefit to the advertiser. Then let us look at the online advertising and new media. When we talk about new media and online advertising, we all know this is the latest in thing. Latest as in it has been around for a few years now, but as compared to the traditional modes of advertising, traditional mass media, this is the latest one. Latest media and also has the greatest possibilities of growth. Now, it has the power to blend television as well as print medium. So it brings together both the senses because print medium is all about text and television is all about audiovisual, and online is something which blends both of them together. So on one web page you would see the running text describing a certain situation, event, news, anything, and then you will find a video. So it is also involving your audio and visual medium and senses. It is basically meant for global kind of audiences who are literate and have a good access, because only if you have an access to internet will you be able to, come up with some interactions, with some engagement with the content that is present online. And then messages can be personalized, because say for example, when you're talking of online advertising, you could be pushing a certain kind of an ad to a certain kind of class of people. These people could be college goers, these people could be housewives, people could be sports lovers, anything of the sort. So on social media, you know who are the people who are interacting, and these people have some common interest. If you will strategically and accordingly push your product or service to them, obviously you would do better than the others. So the messages can be more personalized in nature. It has an unlimited reach. We know, online medium is one medium which has unlimited reach, and it is also slightly inexpensive from the point of view of the user at least, because we know data is quite inexpensive these days. So which makes the access of medium also inexpensive. Now let us look at the outdoor advertising, also called OOH, out of home advertising. It works best for target audiences who do not consume media indoors. So people who are on the run, on the move all the time. You would see these outdoor advertising placed on electric poles sometimes, and as hoardings on the highways, so on and so forth. So these are basically meant for mobile customers, and so longer messages are not used. Why? Because you are aiming at an audience who is coming from a distance and who will just pass by. He or she will not stop to read the message that has been put up on the hoarding or the billboard. He will just pass by. So the message needs to be short and should be written in bolder fonts. At times when you have to convey more, you would usually see that there is a series of hoardings or billboards that are put up one after the other. So there is one small message on the first one and the second related message on the second, third, and so on. So by the time a consumer the customer passes across, he will be getting a hang of all the messages together. Now hoardings, pole ads, electronic displays, there are also wall paintings, banners, posters, transit advertising. All of these are examples of outdoor advertisings. Now it is more flexible in terms of placing the ad. So say for example, you've purchased an ad space somewhere, you are more flexible about the size, you're more flexible about whether you want to place it vertically or horizontally, or whether you have to turn it into an electronic board instead of a small billboard. So there they are more flexible in terms of where they want to place the ad. And it can be used in crowded places also. There is again no choice of audiences because you do not know who all are coming across the message. So accordingly, one must design the message accordingly. It should be more neutral in nature, and it is more cost effective as well. Now there are a few other media which I would like to highlight here, like the direct mailers. When we talk about direct mail, it includes catalogs of products. You would often see catalogs which describe the various products and the various verticals that a brand is running. Then there are brochures, which are detailed information material about a certain product and a certain brand. There are sales letters, like say for example, somebody who has made who has purchased a car policy will next year, when the policy is about to expire, receive a mail stating that your policy is about to expire and we can again offer you a policy for this much money. So that is a sale letter. There are prospectuses, the way you have prospectuses for educational institutions. IGNOU has its own prospectus. Similarly, there can be prospectuses given forth by brands to describe their products and how one is different from other. Say for example, Eureka Forbes and the models it has for various water filters. So you can have a prospectus of that. Message is hidden from the competition. This is the unique selling proposition of a direct mail. what you're sending out is not known to the audiences as compared to out-of-door OOH advertising or any other form of advertising, where whatever message you're sending out and propagating through the mass medium is well known to the competition as well. They can also see what you've put up. But here, in case of direct mails, this is not possible. So the message remains hidden from the competition. Then another kind of media is the telemarketing. You would have generally noticed ads in off time on television, which sell various things like right from bed sheets and clothes and whatever else. So it is more direct, it is more personalized. It will in a phased manner tell you what are the benefits of using this and why you should prefer it and why the prices are much better and more competitive as compared to other brands or at other places, so on and so forth. And the message is totally sender controlled. So the source of the message is controlling the message that is being given out, both in case of direct mail as well as in case of telemarketing. The third kind is in-film advertising. A number of times you would have seen a number of brands, various brands figuring in different kinds of movies. It could be a cold drink, it could be a bike, it could be, and you would remember that this brand is being talked about in this film. But the problem here is that it has limited attention. Limited attention because people generally, most of the times the ads, one is in film advertising and one is the kind of advertising which is displayed during the interval in a movie hall or before the film begins. And maximum number of times people are either talking or they are out and they don't pay enough attention to such advertisements. But in-film advertising has been registering its presence for some time now. And the next, of course, a lot of people use the term window shopping. So what do you mean by window shopping? Window shopping is the coming across of a customer with a product which is on display at the window. So it works best as a POP, a point of purchase kind of a thing. So it is available on the counter, and the best part about it is that a consumer can view the product which is placed there, and it works best when you keep changing the product. Say for example, it's a pair of shoe which is at display. Continue to change those shoes every 1 or 2 days, and also display the pricing. The pricing might attract and the person might walk into the store to purchase it. So that is called window display. Now we will look at, we are over with the media of advertising. Now we will look at advertising techniques. Now there are 3 kinds of advertising techniques. One is above the line advertising, one is below the line advertising, and the third is through the line advertising. When I say above the line advertising, it is all the mass media that you know about, which get used for publicizing, which get used for advertising, like television, radio, newspapers, magazines, OOH, all of them together are called ATL, above the line advertising. Now, how does it help? What are the advantages? One, it helps in brand building, because we've discussed in various ways that these kind of media reach innumerable people. There's a mass reach and they don't know who are the audiences who you're reaching through this advertisement. So it helps in making a brand more popular. It helps in building that it should appeal to the senses of everybody, since we are talking to a heterogeneous audiences and we do not know who these audiences are. Then it makes use of mass media. It is highly impersonal. Only those messages can be personal where the medium is also personal, like the online. When I am on Facebook, I am interacting on Facebook or WhatsApp or any other such medium, then it is more of a technology aided personal communication. But here we are talking of highly impersonal communication, since we are making use of so many different kinds of mass media. It is more conventional. This is the conventional kind of medium which has existed forever. And it is of course very expensive. Advertising in a newspaper, advertising on television has always been a costly affair. So these are the various features of above the line advertising. Now there can be a few disadvantages apparently, but that doesn't make it any less important. Because where you can use and the kind of result you can draw from ATL will be different from what you can receive from BTL, below the line advertising. So in one kind of objective can be met better than by BTL, another kind of objective may be met better by ATL. Let us look at BTL now. Below the line ad strategies, below the line advertising. This is when the products are promoted other than in mainstream media that we just spoke of, TV and newspapers and magazines and this, that. Other than this, when we try making use of media in order to push our products, it is called below the line advertising. Now, what are those tools that we make use of? They are direct mail campaigns, there are trade shows, there are catalogs, there are targeted SEM, search engine marketing, gifting, free sampling, coupons. A number of times you would find a certain coupon with a certain product that you've purchased. This is because this brand has a collaboration with another brand. So, whatever number of products get purchased here, you get a coupon to make a purchase from other brands. So, free samples also, like I gave an example in the beginning of the previous session, that when you get free sachets of tea or free sachets of shampoo sometimes, or even the masalas that you use while preparing your food. So, you get some free samples. That is also an example of below the line advertising. There are gifts, there are targeted search engine marketing. Search engine marketing is making use of online in order to search a certain brand or a product. And then there are catalogs and trade shows and other such things. So, all these together form the below the line advertising. It breaks the clutter in advertising. When there are so many advertisements coming onto the television and so many ads that you see in the newspaper, it helps you break the clutter and it helps you reach the audiences smoothly. It also reaches the target audience in a more cost-effective manner, because when you talk of a free sample and when you compare it to the kind of amount you will incur as an advertisement expense for a television, you can match up a TV ad to a free sample and you very well know what is more cost effective. So, below the line advertising techniques are more cost effective in nature. Coming on to the last bit, which is the TLL, through the line advertising technique. When we talk about through the line, it is basically a mix, a cohesion of both above the line and below the line. So, we are using TV ads also, we are using free samples also. We are using a radio jingle also, we are making use of coupons also. So, we are making a customized bouquet. Why is this so? Because the marketer has an option for both ATL and BTL. The ideal objective aim is to get the objective met. That objective can be anything. It could be brand correction, image correction. It could be building a brand. It could be promoting sales. It could be anything, business volume, sales volume, various things can be there. So, depending upon the objective that you have set for yourself, you choose the medium. And there is a plethora of medium available. Other than these, new innovations keep taking place. Like say for example, I did not mention crowdsourcing. What do you do in crowdsourcing? You have a whole, a group of people who will suddenly emerge in a populated areas and start talking about something in a louder voice so that they can grab attention of people. Quickly, they will make their message felt, they will make their presence felt, and quickly they will dissipate into the crowd. So, ideally that kind of a thing is also prevalent these days. So, the various techniques that you make use of, they are popularly called the IMC, Integrated Marketing Communications. Now, we have a separate session on integrated marketing communication where we will deal in detail about what are the various techniques, how are campaigns planned and everything in detail. Here I would only like to say that when you are choosing this kind of a media, it is based on the kind of objective that you have planned to achieve, and based on that you decide upon the combination of above the line and below the line techniques of advertising. And this is what we know as integrated marketing communication, which is a more of an umbrella term and which has within it advertising, public relations, direct mailing, sales, various things together, event management, etc. So, here we come to the end of advertising techniques, and I hope this has been able to excite your thought, because learning excites thought. And I hope you found this session useful. Stay tuned with us and I'll meet you again on Tuesday with more on advertising. Happy learning, stay safe.